Hello everybody, this is my 28th review of films to come out in 2025, and today we are talking about The Electric State. This was written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, and directed by Joe and Anthony Russo. Basically the team behind The Avengers. It also stars Millie Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt, and a bunch of other people. This was based on a book by Simon Stalenhag. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But I understand why this was made into a film. I haven't read the book, but I've seen many of the illustrations. It's really well realized, there's enough story to adapt, and it gained a lot of popularity. But anyways, would I recommend The Electric State? No. I wouldn't say I hate this movie, but there's very, very little for me here. Nothing was that unique, or interesting, or inspired, or anything. There was just nothing to draw me in any way. It's so unimaginative. It's a sci-fi action blockbuster, and it stuck so tightly to the formula that it's just boring. I think the stage is set that this movie was going to be bad because of the acting. You can really feel from the very beginning that everybody is phoning it in, and it feels like no one believed that this would be good. And it's sad. I mean, it's not fun to watch a movie that feels like nobody wanted to make it. And for what? I mean, this movie is the 13th most expensive movie ever made. It cost $320 million to make, and I just don't understand how they thought they would make that money back. Every other movie with this sort of budget is part of some really successful franchise, so I feel like this was obviously such a gamble, and it's not surprising that it didn't do well. And considering it was distributed by Netflix's streaming service, I mean, truly, I really do not understand what the plan here was. I think this is such an obvious idea, but the producers of this film could have made their money back if they made 16 $20 million films, or 32 $10 million films, or 321 $million films. Like, it doesn't matter. If you make a lot more movies, there's a lot higher a chance you're gonna make your money back, so don't put all your eggs in one basket. Especially for something like this. I rarely want movies to do poorly, but I think there needs to be a lesson taken away from this movie that Hollywood needs to make more medium budget movies. People are not interested in watching $320 million movies. People want to watch something smaller because there's more passion there. And I think it's obvious that the film spent so much of its budget on all these celebrities. Why? Again, this movie stars Millie Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt, Stanley Tucci, Giancarlo Esposito, Ke-Huy Quan, Anthony Mackie, Jason Alexander, and the robots are voiced by Woody Harrelson, Jenny Slate, Brian Cox, and Hank Azaria. With maybe the exception of Hank Azaria, sorry. These are all big celebrities, and like, why? It's so unnecessary. And some of them are really miscast. Like, Millie Bobby Brown should not be playing a high schooler anymore. She does not look the part. It just feels like such a waste to me because all of them feel like they're just phoning it in with maybe the exception of Ke-Huy Quan. The story is about Millie Bobby Brown and her brother. It reminded me a lot of the Minecraft movie, actually. Their relationship is the older sister has to become the guardian because their parents are gone, and she's super protective of her younger brother because he's this imaginative genius. I can't imagine any set of siblings in the real world relate to these relationships. But anyways, it takes place in 1990s, supposedly to cash in on, like, 90s nostalgia. They play a lot of 90s songs, like the movie ends with a dramatic piano rendition of Oasis's Wonderwall. While shows like Stranger Things, sure, bank in on 80s nostalgia, I feel like they do it in a relatively natural way. This movie uses 90s nostalgia in a way that's so obvious and in your face. But it's the 90s, and somehow there are robots who replace human workers in pretty much every field. Then they go to war with the humans after, like, a revolt. This seems like the most interesting part of the story, and yet it is told over the course of about a minute. Also, there's some really bad effects in this sequence. Like, there's a part where Stanley Tucci shakes the hand of Bill Clinton, and it looks like it belongs in a comedy. It looks very Forrest Gump. Anyways, what happens is they create a new form of robot that is not conscious, it's only controlled by human beings, and so the humans fight the robots with their robots, and the humans win, and I feel like that was just thrown in there so the robots would look more like an oppressed group instead of like human murderers. Because, you know, it'd be a lot scarier if we actually saw robots murdering human beings in the movie. I mean, this is basically a kid's movie, but There's many parts that make it very not appropriate for kids. Like, there are parts where there was basically like Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics. It's scary. And it's too simple a story for adults, so I guess no one wins. This appeals to nobody. Anyways, what happens, spoilers, I guess, Millie Bobby Brown's brother supposedly dies. She meets a cute robot who says he is her brother and that he's still alive somewhere. She goes on a journey, meets Chris Pratt and his robot along the way. There's some really bad comedy from Chris Pratt. She also meets some other robots, which many of which are like product placement. Like Woody Harrelson's character in the movie is a robot who looks like Mr. Peanut, which I guess was used for advertising both in the universe of the movie and outside of the movie for product placement. Their relationship with the robots is strange. They're attacked by them at first and nearly killed, but then immediately after they let their guard down completely. They completely trust them for some reason. They're not scared at all at the fact that they hate human beings. They do a big fight with Stanley Tucci. He's the bad guy in the movie. Millie Bobby Brown tries to save her brother. He's like, I have to sacrifice myself for this war to end. You have to kill me. And the way it's edited, it feels like Millie Bobby Brown does not stop to think about this and just kind of does it. Like, alright, I guess you gotta die, even though my entire journey was to try and save you. They just really did not let this sit for long enough. Chris Pratt thinks his robot died in the battle, and there's an awful scene. The worst scene in the movie is him, like, getting sad about his robot dying. The acting and dialogue is at its absolute lowest in this moment when he thinks his robot dies. It's so bad. And then the movie ends showing that Millie Bobby Brown's brother's robot is still alive. I guess he's just living inside this nonverbal robot, which is kind of horrifying in a way. Just a really weird note to end a family movie on. Like, a child has to die for a war to end, but he may be alive inside a little robot. Just bizarre. There's so many problems with this movie. The whole thing looks way oversaturated too. I forgot to mention that. Like, everybody looks like they have high blood pressure or something. I think you get the vibe of what this is. It's a big, dumb family blockbuster that nobody wanted to make. Again, I didn't hate this. It's not really a boring movie. It's inoffensive. Just a sad reminder of the shortcomings of Hollywood right now. I'm going to give Electric State a 1.5 stars out of 5. Tomorrow, I will make a review for Becoming Led Zeppelin, so stay subscribed to see that. In the description, I will put a link to my Letterboxd list ranking all the movies I've seen of 2025. Here is the ranking so far and where Electric State is placed. There should be a link to my YouTube playlist of all my 2025 film reviews. You can also find that on my channel page and on the left side of your screen. Thank you for watching. Comments and likes are very much appreciated. That's all I have to say. See ya.